The relationship has been pretty rocky between Auckland and Wellington. Why does stuff take so long?
My council have just shoved up rates by 7.9%.
Well, I'm a ratepayer. I'm the Minister of Revenue, right? So I do know a little bit about collecting money.
Still managed to have a cock up with sale GP.
Well, that was because it was before the Auckland deal was signed.
So radio, viewers, ladies and gentlemen, all those people that want to watch this stuff, I'm now interviewing Simon Watts, the Minister for Auckland, the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of probably half a dozen other things I don't know, but those are the two that affect me. He's actually quite a good bloke, and we're occasionally having a beer. And so we're going to go through much the same things that all the others have got, and we'll just see where this goes. It's quite good fun. Thank you for coming along, Simon Watts.
Great to be here, Your Worship.
His actual boss calls him Watsy.
Watsy,
that's right. Not bad. I like that. Even my grandchildren call me Brownie. So there you go. Auckland's deal with Wellington. We're a third of the country, 40% of GDP, you know all that stuff. But Wellington still treats Auckland like a problem to manage rather than a grown-up city capable of making its own decisions. If you are still in government after the election, what actually changes for Auckland? And what's the one thing Wellington would do to get out of the way?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, in the past, the relationship has been pretty rocky between Auckland and Wellington. But, you know, as an Aucklander and someone lives here alongside you, I think when we've got that Auckland deal signed between the two of us, we said right from the outset, this is about mutual respect and recognition of each other's roles, acknowledging we have differing roles, but we have levers that can make our city better. And so for me, the city regional deal is about clarifying that relationship, making sure that we've got 3 or 5 things to actually make things happen in the city, because we want the city to be better than what it is today, and we want it to be a great place to live and work and retire, and actually get those things done. Because no matter whether you're in Wellington or here, as a local MP, biggest thing that frustrates me is why does stuff take so long? How come we can't do stuff faster? And if we're both working together, that's surely better than banging heads together. So, I think it's
well, that's a pretty good answer. I have to say that's a very good answer. But despite that, we still managed to have a cock up with sale GP.
Well, that was because it was before the Auckland deal was signed. Well, we're going to solve that, aren't we? You and I, are going to solve that because as I'm from the North Shore, I'm also an avid fan of the sailing in the ocean. And the one thing that I want to do is get that sale GP back to the city as well.
Well, it's a window on our marine tech industries, you know, and so I think I was very grumpy about your Minister of Tourism bloody giving money to some tattooed pom to come and sing here. Nevertheless, we'll go on to the next thing, but thank you. Good answer.
Okay.
Keep it going. My council have just shoved up rates by 7.9%. Why did we do that?
You're asking me why you did that? Well, I'm a ratepayer, so I was going to ask you that question, but what I understand you've said is that you've got the cost of running the CRL, and that cost has to be paid by someone. And you know, both of us weren't involved in the setup of CRL, right? We both came in after that. If we'd been doing it from the start, and we probably would have done it differently, but it is what it is. It is what it is, yeah. And so, I think Auckland ratepayers, like many ratepayers around the country, they want to get good value for money, but they also want to just acknowledge that what their money is going in terms of rates is getting them something that is better and good service, and they understand that. And I think, Auckland's a big city. It's got a lot of infrastructure. The stuff's not cheap. And, we've just got to make sure we've got a plan and make sure also that we're just putting an eye on the ruler over all the costs, like I understand you are, and, kicking the tyres around that, because there's not a lot of money to flow around. But
so basically, yeah, you're right, mostly right. There was basically a zero rate rise of catching everything, and we're managing that. But we had to pay $235 million for the city rail link starting this year, and that's 7.9%. So it's just the city rail link. So it is what it is. So people should feel good about that. I was a bit pissed off with some of your MPs saying we should control rates and control things. We're controlling a lot to make that happen. And the people who complain most of all are in charge of things like health, which is not under control. But nevertheless, I've asked you this before, what about paying some rates?
Paying some rates?
Rates.
I mean,
There is no actual reason for that other than history.
yeah, well, the reason and the problem, actually, when it comes down to it, is
There's any money to pay
is
rates.
where do you find that money, right? You know,
Where do I find the money to pay rates?
well, I'm the Minister of Revenue, right? So I do know a little bit about collecting money. And look, the short answer is the historical position and precedent is that central government does in some areas, but not in all.
Where does it?
Yeah, in some aspects around hospitals, around the board, there's so.
No, not here, because I used to run the hospital. We didn't pay rates.
Well, I think the broader question is, and we've come through with that recent announcement around the investment for housing, which was in the budget, which is a $400 million fund. And
Oh no, I've got no praise for those things. I'll give you that. You're looking for ways to fund things, and that's a good thing. So don't take it too personally. Good effort. Waste and bureaucracy. People are sick of money disappearing into processes. How would you embed better, faster, cheaper mindset into the government? I've kind of got that here. People say better, faster and cheaper because they heard me say it about 100 times and they eventually, must mean something.
Well, it's probably an area where I think you and I both are on the same page. First and foremost, get people who actually have done it before running these projects, who actually understand how to build a bridge or dig a hole, right? And
That'd be good.
And not some...
What a radical thought.
Yeah, I know, but it's probably because I came out of private sector before politics, and having worked in finance and that, it's sort of common sense at one level. But, the bureaucracy is what it is. I think what we've done with Auckland, getting Auckland Transport and putting it back in the hands of Auckland Council is a good example of some common sense policy, putting some people in charge of that actually know how to run a bus service, put roads, build roads. I think that's all sensible stuff. But at a country level, we're having to go through that same process as well. And we've only been in government 2.5 years. Some of the stuff's been around for a long time. But we do need to think about when we're spending taxpayer and ratepayer money, we've got to treat it like it's our own money. And it's how I think. And,
Bingo.
And get it into the right place. And I think the other thing is we have a bit of a habit of doing everything gold-plated and the perfect. That motorway up north. You've got enough room to land a 747 on both sides of it, right?
And on the bridges.
And so
even more insane. Good answer. I think, and I do thank the government for giving us back Auckland Transport, which I'm about to take control of. I'm looking forward to. Should never have gone away, but it is. But which leads us to the next one, which is getting Auckland moving. We want to move around the city. We want to get freight round before the goods become antiques. We've got the 30-year integrated transport plan, which is going to be a golden opportunity for me, but could be a bit of a problem for you guys, but whatever. What's the practical plan to get us moving in the next term, and will you give us more control over transport planning and funding? You have given us back a bit of it, I'll give you that. So don't feel too bad, you've made a good start. Can they let it go? Can they let us do some decisions?
Look, first step is getting that governance stuff back in play with Auckland Transport. I think step one, that's been done, that's important, and actually getting the right people in the place of those roles to get the projects and activity underway is pretty important in the next year or so particularly. We've then got to think about, the broader, where government are investing in infrastructure projects in the city. We've got to make sure we're working together on that, not in isolation. So the city deal talks about that. And then thirdly, I think, there is some work, and I know you and I have talked about it, but some of that technology deployment and intersections, we've got, all of that basic stuff that is just a headache for Aucklanders. And, I'm really keen to work with you around that.
Good man.
And then get some alignment. And I know it's not the topic you love the most, but, our good old harbour crossing over there, it's getting old. And I want it when I'm old to have something that works. So we just have to work together and not be too silly about listening to too many pie-eye ideas of how to do it, but we need to work together around, what's the solution? And to be honest, it's been talked about. Some of these, that's the thing about politics that frustrates me. Some of these things have been talked about for blooming decades. And, I want to be...
Sometimes, though, they talk about it with people who aren't actually part of the solution.
Yeah.
Because it's been talked about by everybody but the Auckland Council.
Yeah.
And we will get a solution to that.
But
it won't be quite what the one you had in mind is. And there might be some other issues that come up over the roads of national party significance. But by and large, we'll talk through those. And I'm sure, that with a bit of goodwill and the deal, we'll come to a result which is pleasing for both parties. Unless, I mean, I go into this with good intent, and I believe you do too. Time of use charging, yes, no?
Absolutely. I spent a lot of time in London. I saw it operate there. It's just a natural revolution. I mean, again, it's something that's taken a long time, but at least we've got.
Let's do it.
Let's get on with it.
Get on with it. Yeah, good on you. I think you're going there. Jobs, tech, and selling Auckland. You know, Auckland's the economic engine. We've got 1,300 startups here. We've got Rocket Lab. We've got Halter. All these clever things. What's your plan to get Auckland a higher wage, higher productivity city? And
well, first and foremost, it's about working together with Auckland Council. We want to make sure that that innovation precinct is up and running.
That's good. I'm looking forward to that. Make
sure that we've got a lot of investment going into education, because we want our young people to be coming out to be able to go and work at Rocket Lab and Halter and places like that. And they've got to have the skills to do so. And then I think more formally is just making sure that we've got a culture both within central government and local government that's really pro and open to using technology.
Yes.
And, you know, just because it's been done an old way for a long time, like how can we get more efficiency through technology? How can we actually get better customer service to our ratepayers and taxpayers? And central government's got a hell of a lot of work to do in that space. And I think
we're busy trying to brain ourselves up for that as well, because it is the AI is quite a challenge for everybody.
Yeah. And I think to celebrate our successes, we've got some really bright, great, innovative people in Auckland, and we've got a lot of people coming through that equally have that capability, and we should celebrate that. I think that's the amazing thing about Auckland. We've got so much talent, and we should be proud of that, because some of those people are, you know, they're kicking ass on the world stage, and I think that's something we should be proud of and back them on. So.
I think you did well there. Good answers, really, and I think Reddy did good getting the government's tech centre to be opening here. You know, I support what he's done. Events, tourism and the dreaded bed night levy, which is in almost every other city in the world, excepting here. I know we've dithered it around, we've managed to get it on, that we're going to talk about it. When are you going to act so that we can actually do it? You know? What's wrong with them? Well, I think you guys support it, in a way, but you're not allowed to say we do or you don't.
Well, look, the government position on it is we do need to work together around a solution. We need to move into that position by midway through next year. But we've already have done some pretty good stuff around Eden Park, for example, right? And that's together, like unshackling Eden Park so it can actually hold a concert more than, you know, a few times a year. And I know, we both know, whether it's sport or concerts or events or sailing out on the harbour or down in the viaduct, that's what brings the vibe and the heart to the city. And that's what's so good about it.
And that's what I can't understand why it hasn't happened, because it's the hotel industry, the accommodation industry want it. You don't have to put up with bloody act. Get some control of those buggers, will you? All right? And
you can ask David when he comes in and does this.
No, he hasn't responded.
Okay.
Paying for the future. Auckland has bills coming, transport, water, renewals, growth, resilience, infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. And we are a council who is funding depreciation. And I noticed that Wellington, in order to get their business as usual rates down to ours, which are mainly to pay for a new railway set, they've actually had to say that they're going to put off paying for depreciation. That's the city that most needs it in the world. They've got pipes that are breaking. Nothing works. But I mean, we've got to behave properly about this. So how are you going to help us pay next time?
Well, I think the good thing about Auckland is it's growing. You know, it's one of the it is the fastest growing city.
Because the thing is, you've got to provide a whole lot more stuff for everybody.
But growth's better than not growing. And you know, you're an engineer and I'm an accountant. We pretty much know that you need to pay for your depreciation. It's sort of 101 in business.
Oh, isn't it?
And if you're not, you're simply just kicking the can down the road for someone else. And that's not acceptable. And I don't think Aucklanders would accept that. And I think the reality is, you know, there is a lot of infrastructure. You know, in our terms, we have to sort of pick up the ball that we get passed from those before us, and not always is it a good pass. And, you know, we have to do our best. But I think, you know, having that clear long-term plan, that 30-year transport plan where we've got alignment, the city regional deal, which is a 10-year plan, getting locked and loaded on where we're heading in terms of destination, not wasting time busting head, but having a mutual respect and recognition of each other's roles and working together. we're in a much better place. The growth aspect, growth will pay for growth, and we've got some development levy stuff
never
coming
has.
through.
It's nearly paid for growth, and now we're going to make it pay for growth, but it does mean it's a bit more expensive because, I've been a developer and I've got away with paying for just all the actual infrastructure within the subdivisions. But because of those things, somebody wants a swimming pool or a library, and that's got to come somewhere or other. So that's going to cost a bit more. But I think we're heading in the right direction. That's one thing where the government and us do understand that. I quite like that part of it. So anyhow, let's talk about superannuation. That's heading for a cliff. What are we going to do about that? I hear people are starting to at least talk about it. Yeah,
well, it's the elephant in the room. And for I'm mid-40s. For me, I'm that age group that in 20 years, this is the reality of what
it might
my
be 30 years maybe in your 40s yet.
Well, it's my generation younger of where the rubber hits the road on this. And it is pretty frustrating that people are, my party's up for the conversation because it's a fiscal reality. But,
not
those
all of them think that.
Well, look, let's be clear. I mean, what is on the table is saying people are living longer, so we should increase their retirement age in 20 years from now. Not today, 20 years. We've got a period of 20 years to transition to that point.
We start creeping up year by year or something.
Let's just start and get going.
Well, they did start. It was 60 at one stage. People forget that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I've heard people doing all sorts of things like we're going to tax the rich more and all that sort of stuff and maybe. But basically, it's about the age. Because the problem is that when they started it, the same number of people behind getting it there was a bigger number of people working and providing it.
Yeah.
If you don't move the age limit up, there'll be more people getting and not enough people paying. And so it's got to be an age thing. So it's good that you're talking about it. I'm very pleased to hear that. Since Trump discovered the Straits of Hormuz, we've had a good reminder that energy resilience actually matters. So what's the plan to keep the lights on?
Well, we need more abundant energy, and what that means is we need to build more energy generation. It's a simple demand and supply. More supply means lower prices, and the key input for whether you're running a sawmill or you're running a manufacturing plant here in Auckland, I do making glass, who needs energy, is you want cheap energy, and the cheaper it is, the cheaper your product, and that's a productivity outcome. Pure and simple. So, I was energy minister. I've handed that over, but we did some of the most significant reform. Drive more abundant energy, reliable and affordable. And I tell you what, if you look at that energy cost since we made the announcement around LNG, it is like that, and it's not that far away. We had a structural reduction in price that'll flow through to retail bills probably in the next year to year and a half. But if you're running a glass manufacturing or a sawmill today, you're seeing that price reduction.
So we're a bit slow in getting our renewable solar and wind on now. What do you think the reason that's slowing that investment up?
Oh, look, we've built more renewables in the last 18 months than the entirety of the last decade. So there is a hell of a lot being built.
But that's the same companies doing it.
Yeah, but independents.
But so that buggers like me, I can tell you what holds it back. It's the lines companies.
There's a lot of...
the lines companies want to rook you to join up. And somehow or other you're going to get on. They're monopolies and they're behaving like monopolies, which is not surprising.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did when I was minister is we've basically said to these guys, you are in a way holding back the ability for people to put solar on business roofs and on houses. Yes. And so we've forced them in effect through the regulator to be more flexible. And that means that the barriers are lower and then people get on it. I think it's a no-brainer, but equally... We also
I think it's a good start, but I just don't think you've quite finished that yet.
Oh, absolutely not.
And if I can give you some advice of what I would be very pleased to hear is that you put more pressure on the lines companies to open that up. Anyhow, that was pretty good. We hear plenty of promises in election year. What's the one thing Aucklanders would notice in 3 years' time as a result of you guys getting back in?
An economy that's growing, and when growth's sitting at 2.5%, people feel it, right? That's the point. And, a more simplified central government and more simplified local government, i.e. that ratepayer and the taxpayers' money's, being spent wisely. We're not throwing the money around like the prior days. And, we've got some infrastructure to show for that spend as well. And that's where we want to be. I think Auckland has a huge amount of potential. And I think you and I talk about that a lot. This is an amazing city. It's a gateway to New Zealand, and we're doing everything that we can to continue that, and we will, and we won't compromise, because I think there's been too much compromise.
We have had a bit of criticism from, I've spoken to a few others obviously on this, and that about culling the number of civil servants in Wellington. In my view, you haven't culled them enough. But it's not just culling them there. It always amazed me that, like, the Ministry of Agriculture is in Wellington. If it was in Hamilton, the people in there would have actually know what a cow looks like. Have you thought about some decentralisation like that?
Yeah, look, I'm very proud. I mean, I've over in Takapuni, you've got, IRD are based over there. They've got a pretty big presence. For every one role we take out of the public service, I want to see 5 roles created in the private sector.
Ah, that's a good answer.
And that's the way and the opportunity. The bureaucracy has to do its job, but there is a point where, that resource isn't adding value and we're not creating value. So I'd rather, we've got workforce. I was just in Invercargill. They've got, unemployment. They're lacking people down there, right?
Not surprising,
well, they're building energy projects.
I realise that, but I'm kind of joking. I mean, if you're living in a really horrible place, it's amazing. You haven't got a job, you're going to leave.
Anyway,
but I don't upset everybody in Invercargill.
Let's just free some of these public servants to work in the private sector.
I agree.
We're on a crusade to free them up.
I think Invercargill would
let's not
gain more people if they got rid of that stupid licensing trust down there. Nevertheless, that's another issue. Rapid fire. You've done pretty well so far, I've got to say. When did you last use a hop card?
Probably in the last month, and it was to get the ferry across from Devonport, because I live over on the North Shore.
Okay. Yeah, I got the bus home to Ponsonby last night.
Ah.
I can go up and have a beer then, and I can. It's okay, you see. You can't drink and drive, so I've given up the driving.
Fair enough.
Bus, train, ferry, bike, walk, or car?
Ferry. I love the ferry, and why? Because it's on our harbour and on the water, and I love the water, and I think that's one of the most unique parts.
That's a good answer. No one else has given that one, so you win a point there. Apartment, townhouse, or villa?
Oh, I've got a townhouse, but I think villas are pretty special. I live in the North Shore, Devonport. I know your favourite part of the city, but they're quite pretty.
I like Devonport.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but I certainly like it. I'm with you. You get a ferry over there for the afternoon. It's quite a pleasant thing to do.
It's a bloody lot of work to paint those things, though, eh? So I don't know if I've got enough time to paint, villas. It's a lot of work, a lot of maintenance.
That's why I live in an apartment, mate.
So that's why.
I haven't got time to mow lawns. Jeez. EV, hybrid, or petrol?
I've got an EV.
What sort?
I've got a BYD.
So have I. Bingo. Hey, look at that. BYD boys. Name an Auckland volcano that's not Rangitoto or Mount Eden.
Oh, come on. Rangitoto is the one I look out to.
I know, but you've got to name another one.
Look
out the window. I can see about a dozen of them out there.
You said Mount Eden, yeah?
Not allowed to be Mount Eden or Rangitoto.
Oh, I don't know. No.
Look over there. What's that green one? Mount Wellington.
Okay.
I'll answer it for you.
Rangitoto is my
The only part of Wellington I like is Mount Wellington. Yeah. One piece of Auckland infrastructure besides the stadium that makes you proud?
Well, I think the Sky Tower is a pretty iconic piece of infrastructure.
Good answer. Yeah, I like that. I like the bridge, but you're right.
I'm looking forward to a new bridge, but anyway.
You're not young enough. If you could take a sledgehammer to one building in the city, which one would it be?
It'd be that bridge. No, it's not a building, but,
pull down the bridge. Jesus. Yeah. What about the police station here that you guys have vacated that's stuck on the corner around there?
I'm on the North Shore, you see. I don't spend too much at the Auckland police station, luckily. So.
Nobody does.
But we have got a used one.
It's empty. It's a used one. Yeah. Pull it down, for goodness sake.
We absolutely want more people living in the city and more people living in the CBD. So if we can get more of that.
Empty police stations not helping. One word, Auckland's biggest problem.
I would say congestion.
No, it's not bad. It's either T or C, traffic or congestion. Good answer. Biggest opportunity.
Growth and unlocking the growth of the city. There's so much potential.
Well, I think you did pretty well. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Simon Watts, the Minister of Auckland, Local Government and Revenue. Who'd have thought?
Thank you.
Well done, Simon.
Thanks, mate.
And we'll see you in the pub in Ponsonby within a month.
Yep.
And we'll bring that other fellow Luxon with you, okay?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
Okay. Cheers. Cheers, mate.